The Book of Destiny. Translation of Kitab-ul-Taqdeer. Author: Ghulam Ahmed Parwez. Translated by Dr. Ejaz Rasool. Glasgow, UK. ISBN number 9798884207042. 11 Chapter 11, Guidance and Misguidance. You will very likely have heard these words in the sermons delivered during Friday prayers, Jummah, Eid prayers, and at Anika, in fact, at the beginning of every address, that the individual to whom Allah gives guidance, no one can misguide him, and the one Allah misguides, no one can give him guidance. Bear these words in mind and then reflect on the following facts. 11.1 The process of righteousness and guidance. 1. In the story of the downfall of Adam, addressing mankind, Allah stated that there is nothing about which to be apprehensive. Guidance will keep coming to you from our direction. Whoever obeys my guidance, he will have no kind of fear and grief, and those people who reject our laws and falsify them, they will enter hell and will abide therein. 2. 38-39. 2. In accordance with this promise, Allah started to send Anbiya to mankind, and sent messengers to every nation in the world who would pass the guidance of Allah onto them. 3. Those Anbiya used to communicate the wahi of Allah to the people and used to inform them that this teaching based on haqq and truth has reached you. After this, whoever among you wishes, he can accept it, and whoever wishes, he can reject it. 18. 29. This is a matter of your own choice, but understand this much, that whoever follows this guidance, he will remain in peace from fear and grief, whoever goes against it will become destroyed and ruined. Ponder on these facts and then bring those words to mind again with which this chapter was started, and then think that if the matter is simply this, that whoever is given guidance by Allah, no one can misguide him, and whoever he misguides, no one can bring him to the right path, then this whole procedure of righteousness and guidance, the sending of Anbiya, the sending down of Wahi, the dissemination of Risalat, and the law of requital regarding reward and punishment, becomes meaningless. Could you possibly even imagine that on the one hand Allah should declare that the teaching based on haqq and truth has reached you? Now whoever among you wishes can accept it, and whoever wishes can reject it? And on the other hand that same Allah also declares that whoever we bring onto the right path, no one can misguide him, and whoever we misguide, no one can bring him to the correct path. The stature of Allah is assuredly far loftier and elevated, but even a man possessing an ordinary intellect and reasoning power will never say such contradictory things. But since, from the point of view of their interpretation, these words are deduced from some places in the Quran, it is essential that we refer to the Quran itself for their correct meaning. Especially because Allah, Wahi, Risalat, Iman in the hereafter, are all based on the foundations of guidance and misguidance. Hence it is essential that its Quranic meaning appears before us. 11.2 The fountainhead of guidance is Allah alone. First of all, note that in the story of the downfall of Adam, it has been proclaimed that guidance will come to you from me. 2. 38. This means that man was informed that though you will be able to acquire knowledge about the physical laws of the universe yourself, through study, observation, and experience, as far as guidance for your human life is concerned, no man will be able to devise laws and values for it from his own mind, nor will he be able to find it anywhere other than from the wahi bestowed by Allah. The Quran has clarified this reality at numerous places. For example, 1. It is stated in Surah Taha that our Rabb is He who created everything and then provided these with guidance for them to reach their intended destination. 20. 50. 2. In Surah Al-Alaq, 4 phases of the creative program of Allah are described. Allah initiated the creation of everything, then after carrying out trimmings and adjustments, created proportion and balance in them, then He established scales. laws for them and guided them towards these. Provided them with knowledge of these laws, this is called guidance. 87. 2-3. 3. It is stated in Surah Al-Layl that it is surely our responsibility to provide guidance. 92. 12. 4. In Surah Al-Imran it is instructed to inform them that guidance is only that guidance which is received from the direction of Allah. The self-concocted guidance of human beings cannot make anyone reach their intended destination. Correct guidance can only be obtained from the direction of Allah. 3. 73. See also. 2. 120, 6. 71. 11.3 Guidance was sent to people via the messengers. Now let us continue. This guidance of Allah is inbuilt in the things of the universe, that is, guidance is not sent to them from outside. This guidance regarding what pattern it has to live its life on is intrinsic in everything. Details of these matters have already been covered. But as far as human beings are concerned, this guidance is not inbuilt in them. The program for this was that this guidance used to be provided to the messenger through wahi from Allah, and the messenger used to pass it on to other people. It is stated in Surah An-Nisa after mentioning different messengers, that they were sent so that no grievance remains among the people against Allah, that He had never even informed us as to which is the right path. Thus if we have continued treading on the wrong paths, then what fault of ours is there in this? 4. 165. Or be able to contend that if Allah had provided us with guidance, then we too would have been among the muttaqeen. 39. 57. It was for this very purpose that messengers used to be sent, so that people could tread on the right path. 32. 3. These messengers providing guidance were sent to every nation in the world. 13. 7. A messenger would be sent and he would be told that whatever is bestowed to you from your Rabb, make it reach the people. 5. 67. Whatever used to be sent down from Allah used to be called the book of that messenger. Therefore the people used to receive the guidance of Allah through this book which the messenger used to pass on to them. The final, complete, and protected book of Allah is the Quran, in which guidance for all the nations of the world is present. Allah provides guidance to people through His book and brings them out of darknesses towards light. In this way, Allah makes His code of guidance reach the people. 5. 16. And warns them that whoever treads on the straight path after acquiring guidance from this, the benefit of this will be his alone. The one who, despite this, adopts the wrong path, the loss will also be his alone. 10. 108. See also. 39. 41. From this we have observed how Allah provides guidance to mankind. In other words, 1. Allah used to send down guidance on the messengers via wahi. 2. And the messengers used to pass this on to the people, and used to tell them that whoever wishes should adopt it and whoever wishes can reject it. 11.4 Allah bestowed nubuwwat on whomever He willed. As far as the first part of this program is concerned, that is, in this receipt of guidance by the messenger via wahi, there was no role of the choice and intent in this of the individual who used to receive wahi. That is, Rasool. According to the program of His Mashi'at, Allah used to select and appoint a righteous being for this purpose. Allah used to select whomever He wished for this supreme status according to His Mashi'at. 2. 105. See also. 3. 74. Only Allah knew best on whose head He will place the crown of Risalat. 6. 124. There was no role in this of the efforts and hard work of the potential messenger. Nubuwwat was something that was bestowed, not earned through skill and effort. Whoever used to receive this according to the Mashi'at of Allah, received it as a blessing, not as a reward. Whoever Allah considered to be suitable according to His Mashi'at, He conferred it on him as a blessing. 14. 11. So much so, that even the eminent being who was about to be handed this responsibility did not have any knowledge or inkling that he was about to be selected for this. Nor was he aware of the form and nature of Wahi and Nubuwwat prior to this. This is what is stated about Rasulullah himself in the Quran. 42. 52. 11.5 Human beings used to receive guidance from Allah in this way. From these explanations it is clear that as far as the receipt of guidance by the Anbiya from Allah is concerned, it is absolutely correct and based on fact to state that Allah gives guidance to whoever He wishes. And that whoever did not receive guidance from Allah, it was absolutely impossible for him to obtain it from anywhere else. This is that occasion on which a Nabi would make this proclamation. If my Rabb had not given me guidance, then I would also have been among those who keep treading on wrong paths. 6. 77. See also 6. 81. And when the Nabi would also acknowledge and proclaim this, then why would other people not say the same? They will also have to say that if Allah had not given us guidance, then we would never have been able to adopt the straight path. 7. 43. How He provided this guidance is clarified in the next few words that the messengers of Allah came to us bringing haqq, and this is how the guidance of Allah reached us. 7. 43. In other words, if the Wahi of Allah had not reached mankind, then they would have wandered around in darknesses, and they would never have been able to know which is the straight path to reach the intended destination. The one treading on the straight path is only he who traverses the journey of life in obedience to the guidance bestowed by Allah. 7. 178. In other words, he follows this book. Note how clearly this reality is described in Surah Al-Zumar. Firstly, it is stated that Allah sent down a book in which those things are written, better than which cannot be found anywhere else. After that it is stated that this is that guidance of Allah through which He shows the straight path to every one of those individuals who wishes to follow this. The individual who deprives himself of this guidance, no one in the world can show him the right path. 39. 23. There can simply be no alternative to Wahi. This is the correct meaning of stating that whoever obtains guidance from Allah, he can never go astray, and whoever adopts other paths in place of this guidance, he can never reach the intended destination. This guidance of Allah is documented in His book. Now the question which arises is who is it that obtains this guidance from this book, and who is it that remain deprived of it? These matters should be understood well. 11.6 Which people can acquire guidance. We have seen earlier that the things of the universe are created as constrained, that is, it is simply not within their choice that whatever path they have been given guidance for, by abandoning it they could adopt another path. But man has been given this choice that if he wishes, then he can traverse the journey of life according to the guidance of Allah, and if he wishes, then by avoiding it, he can select other paths. He has been given the code of guidance from the direction of Allah, and he has been told that he should ponder on it using intellect and reasoning and knowledge and vision. If his heart and mind is satisfied that this guidance is based on evidence and truth, then he should opt for it as a code of life for himself. This is called Iman. Hence, in order to acquire guidance from the Book of Allah, the foremost condition is that man should accept Iman in its truth by using his vision based on evidence. The individual who does not even accept this code as being true, how can he benefit from it? 1.6.11 Objection on Hudal al-Muttaqin. After keeping this code of life in front as a torch for the path, man should begin the journey of life. Now this beacon of guidance will keep on telling him at every crossroad of life in which direction he needs to turn. It will keep opening up the expanses of the paths before him. This will be the meaning of obtaining guidance from the Book of Allah after acquiring Iman. This is why it is stated about those who, together with Iman, do salih deeds, that, due to their Iman their Rabb keeps widening the paths of life in front of them. 10. 9. After Surah Al-Fatiha, the proclamation of this reality at the beginning of the Quran is made in these words. This is that book in which there is not any kind of doubt or uncertainty. This serves as a guidance for the muttaqeen. 2. From this it is commonly said that those people who are already muttaqeen, what need do they have of guidance? They are already guided, that is why they are muttaqeen. This objection arises due to not having the Quranic meaning of muttaqi before us. 1.6.2 The meaning of muttaqi. The individual who has arrived into the world will inevitably have to tread the journey of life. Some people undertake this journey in such a way that there is neither a defined destination before them, nor any aim in view. The tussle of individual interests is pulling them from the front, and the force of motivation for their base desires is pushing them from behind. In this way, with eyes shut, they continue on in such a way that they no longer have any awareness whether the path is smooth or uneven, nor any concern as to whether there is a ditch or a well in front of them. Other people undertake this journey in such a way that they have a defined destination in front of them and their every step takes them towards it. And they wish to travel along the path by avoiding the pitfalls. Those who wish to tread the path in this way are called muttaqeen. It is obvious that the need for guidance will only be felt by these people, not by the former ones. Therefore the meanings of Hudalil muttaqeen are this, that this code of guidance provides guidance to those people who wish to tread the path by avoiding hazardous pitfalls and thorny valleys. From the above explanations it is clear that the people who obtain guidance from this book are those who acquire iman in the truth of the divine code using their intellect and reasoning, and wish to traverse the path of life which is teeming with hazards by a secure method. This fact is reiterated at many places in the Quran because these are the fundamental conditions for obtaining this guidance. It is stated in Surah Al-An'am that those people who acquire iman and do not allow their iman to become contaminated by injustice, they obtain guidance. 6.82. It is stated in Surah At-Tawbah that guidance is not received through being born into some nation and by continuing to mechanically fulfill those rituals, which that nation counts as pious acts, which are prevalent in it, having been passed down from their forefathers. Guidance can only be received by the one who accepts iman himself, and then performs those kinds of deeds which this code of life declares as being righteous. 9.19-20. In Surah Al-Baqarah it is stated that guidance from the Book of Allah is received in this way: that whenever there are matters in which there are differences, it becomes known which is the correct matter among them. Obviously, this is a great thing. 213. In this same surah it is stated a little later that wherever darkness appears on the path of life, this book takes the travelers safely and securely onwards by becoming a torch on the path. 257. And at another place it is stated that those people who confront difficulties with great steadfastness and perseverance receive guidance for moving forward. 156. The meaning of steadfastness is that no matter how testing of patience and demanding of courage the hardships on the path are, man should never abandon the right path. In the terminology of the Quran this is called holding fast to the rope of Allah. 103, 4. 175. In other words, we can say that no matter how unfavorable the circumstances may be, obedience to the laws of Allah should never be transgressed. In this way, the expanses of life will keep on opening up before man. 4.66-68. From the above explanations it is evident that guidance is acquired through man's own striving and endeavor. This supreme reality is summed up in a few words in Surah Al-Ankabut, when it is stated that those people who strive in our cause, we keep making the paths of life ever wider before them. 29.69. And, those who tread on the right path, the paths keep becoming ever wider for them. 19.76. We consider that after this there is nothing more that remains to be said in this regard. 11.7 Which people cannot acquire guidance. Allah created man, defined an objective for him, and designated the path to reach it. Wherever a crossroad appeared on this path, a signpost was erected there to show in which direction this path leads and in which direction the other one leads. If some individual does not even look at these signposts, and even if he does read them, by ignoring them he then goes in whichever direction he wishes, it is obvious that such an individual cannot acquire guidance towards the right path. The Quran has made this reality clear at many places. For example, see below. 1.7.1 Those who tread with eyes shut. 1. It is stated in Surah Yunus that, O Rasool, can you guide such a person who deliberately shuts his eyes and becomes blind? 10:43. At another place it is stated, O Rasool, you can neither make the dead hear, nor such a one who is deaf, whom though you call, he turns his back and walks away. Nor can you show the path to the one who is blind. You can only cause him to listen who considers your message to be true, and is ready to bow his head before it. 27. 80-81, 30. 52-53. In another verse it is stated that those people who become deaf by plugging their ears, how can they be made to listen to the subject? 31. 7. It is stated in Surah Fatir that the one who is blind and the one who has sight cannot be equal, nor can darkness and light or shade and sunlight be alike, nor the living and dead. O Rasool, you cannot make those who are lying dead in graves hear. Only he who wishes to listen can be made to hear. 35. 19-22. 2. It is stated in Surah An-Nahl that, O Rasool, though you may desire it 1,000 times, these people will not adopt the right path. The individual who himself wishes to tread on the wrong path, how can Allah bring him onto the right path? 16:37. And at another place it is stated that how can Allah show the straight path to those people who do not even consider this code of Allah as being true? 16:104. 1.7.2 Those who make their desires as their God. Allah. Those who themselves reject the truth of this code, and also prevent others from coming in its direction. 4. 167. 3. As has already been noted in detail, whatever potentials and abilities Allah has bestowed on man, and whatever emotions have been created in him, these are neither shar nor care in themselves, these are merely forces. It is their application that makes them shar or care. If power is used to strangle the neck of a victim, then it is shar. If it is employed to twist the arm of a tyrant, then it is care. If human emotions are kept within the boundaries of the permanent values, then their outcome is constructive. If they are left rebellious and unbridled, then they breed chaos and destruction. It is stated in Surah Al-Qasas that, O Rasool, if these people do not acquiesce to your invitation, then this is because they wish to follow their base desires. Just think, who can be more astray than the one who keeps obeying his emotions, devoid of the guidance of Allah? How can Zalimin benefit from the guidance of Allah? 28. 50, 30. 29. 1.7.3 Those who follow blindly. 4. This was about those people who continue to follow their own desires. But the condition of some people, in fact, the majority of mankind, is such that with eyes shut, without thinking or comprehending, they keep following on behind others. Now just ponder that if the person in front is treading on the wrong path, then how will those following behind him be able to tread on the right path? This is the worst kind of misguidance. It is stated in Surah Al-An'am that if you obey this kind of crowd, then they will cause you to divert from the path of Allah. They themselves are misguided and also misguide others. 6. 117, 6. 119, 5. 77. Until the time that these people, by abandoning the path of blind obedience, do not make use of intellect and reasoning, they will not be able to distinguish between the right and wrong path. 1.7.4 Mushrik. 5. Those people whose mindset is such that sometimes they tread on the path defined by Allah, and sometimes on the path proposed by someone else, how can they reach the intended destination? In the terminology of the Quran, this path is called shirk, and its consequence is that such an individual strays far from his intended destination. 4. 116. The practical meaning of Iman is that man should make the decisions about all his affairs, or have them made, according to the Book of Allah. But if the situation is such that Iman is acknowledged from the lips, while the decisions about one's affairs are made according to non-divine Taqdeer codes, even then man cannot reach the right destination. 4. 60. 1.7.5 Munafiq. 6. This firm conviction about some path that it will definitely take one to the desired destination is called Iman. But if an individual who does not have conviction in the validity of the path, but due to some specific self-interest joins those people who are treading on the right path, and at every step endeavors that as soon as he gets the opportunity he will escape in another direction, such an individual will never be able to reach the intended destination. In Quranic terminology he is called a munafiq. It is affirmed about them that they can never come to the right path. 4. 142 to 143. 1.7.6 Basic. 7. There is a skin covering every fruit within which it finds nourishment and reaches maturity. This can be called its pattern. Fruit which escapes from its skin can never reach maturation and becomes rotten. Fruit breaking out of its skin like this is called fask, and the one who does this is called fasiq. It is declared about them that divine guidance does not provide any benefit to them. Allah never guides a nation that is fasiqeen. 5. 108. The Quran has reiterated this at a number of places, for example, 2. 26, 9. 24. It is stated in Surah Al-Saf that when these people, after abandoning the correct pattern, turn towards another direction, then the law of requital of Allah also turns their hearts in the same direction. After that it is stated that Allah does not guide a nation that is fasiqeen. 61. 5. 1.7.7 Zalamin. 8. It is essential for the success of a program that everything is kept at its designated position. If something is not kept at the place where it should be, then this is called zulm, and it is obvious that the program in which the situation arises can never become accomplished. This is why Allah made it clear that the paths of vastness never open up in front of the Zalamin. 2. 258. This reality has been reiterated in numerous places in the Quran. Finally, we bring that illustrious verse of the Quran before us in which it has been clearly stated to whom Allah does not provide guidance. Just reflect. How will Allah provide guidance to the nation which, after accepting Iman, adopts the path of Kufr, despite the fact that it had witnessed with its own eyes that its messenger is on the path of Haqq, and the clear and perspicuous teachings of Allah had reached them? Remember, Allah never guides this kind of Zalim nation towards the correct destination. 3. 86. What further can be said in this regard other than, "O my heavy heart"? This appears to be our own tale. It is obvious that when Allah declares that how can such a nation receive guidance, it does not mean that that nation has become eternally condemned for all times. That it can now never come onto the right path. No, this is not what is meant by this. From this is meant that as long as this nation keeps treading on its existing path and keeps viewing this path to be correct, it cannot come to the correct path. At whatever moment it begins to think that the path on which it is treading will plunge it into an abyss of destructions, the possibility of turning towards the correct path will illuminate in it. This is the reason that Rasulullah was told that although the glitter of worldly benefits has mesmerized the eyes of these people and they are continuing to tread blindly on the wrong path, You should keep reminding them through the Quran of this fact that the path on which you are treading will lead you towards destructions, so that no individual is destroyed due to his wrong path because there was none to invite him towards the correct path. 6. 70. This verse is very clear regarding the issue of guidance and misguidance. Let us now move forward and address another important topic. 11.8 Katamallahu Allah Kalya by him. In order to understand the correct meaning of this and other similar verses, it is essential to bear in mind the following aspects. 1. In order to obtain guidance, to benefit from divine guidance, it is essential that man should ponder with a cool head on the matters being presented, and should endeavor to understand realities through the use of intellect and reasoning and correctly assess the weight of the arguments for and against. Removing the blindfold from his eyes, look towards which destination the path on which he is treading is taking him. For such an individual the possibility exists that he may adopt the correct path by abandoning the wrong path. But for the individual who simply does not wish to make use of intellect and reasoning, and who blindly continues on his path with eyes shut, if someone tells him that this path is wrong, he will either just not listen and will ignore what he has heard, or will rebuff it with contumacy and arrogance. For such an individual neither the guidance of Allah provides any benefit, nor can the voice of the individual inviting him towards this guidance be useful to him. Having a receptive mind is a fundamental requirement in order to benefit from correct advice. 2. Whichever individual closes his eyes, darkness descends in front of him. The Quran uses various styles in order to explain this reality. Sometimes it states that the one who shuts his eyes like this becomes blind, and sometimes it states that whoever shuts his eyes like this, Allah makes him blind. And sometimes that whoever Allah makes blind in this way, who can give him light. The reality is only one, but the ways to express it are various. Details of these aspects have been covered previously. That is that though every consequence is a result of the deeds of man himself. Since the consequence of every deed is established according to the law of requital of Allah, hence Allah relates it to himself. Sometimes it is stated that the individual who puts his finger into fire, his finger becomes burnt. Another time in this way, that the fire burns the finger. Sometimes that such an individual burns his finger himself. And sometimes like this, that Allah burns his finger. Where the matter is explained in the concluding way. The last one. The meaning which should be taken from this is that Allah, his law of requital, does this. From this the matter will become clear and no confusion will remain. After this introductory explanation, let us look at those verses in which it is stated, Katamallahu Allah Kalya by him. Allah put seals on their hearts. Or other similar verses. 1.8.1 There are seals on the hearts of the kuffar. In the initial verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, there is a verse which is translated as, for those people who are kafir, it is equal to them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not accept Iman. This is because Allah has put seals on their hearts and ears, and there are veils covering their eyes, and for them there is a severe punishment. 2. 7. The doubts which arise in the mind from this translation are obvious. But these doubts are the same kind as those which are produced in the heart from the wrong meaning of Huda lil Muttaqin, and which have been explained in the previous topic. The objection raised there is that what need do those who are already Muttaqin have of guidance, and if this book only provides guidance to the Muttaqin, then where will non-Muttaqin obtain guidance from? And regarding the verse being viewed, it is said that if it makes no difference to non-Muslims whether they are preached to or not, then who will benefit from preaching? And non-Muslims will not be able to acquire guidance because Allah has put seals on their hearts and ears, and has placed veils over their eyes, that is, Allah has suspended their abilities to see and observe, think and reason, and when this is the reality, then what fault is it of theirs that they do not come to the straight path? But together with this it has also been declared that they will be given a severe punishment. In recompense for what crime will this punishment be given? First, the paths to guidance are shut on them, and then they are made to suffer a severe punishment for this crime. That why did you not tread on the correct path? Have you observed how far off the mark the matter reaches from the incorrect interpretation of these verses? The Quran has called itself a guidebook and has informed us right from the start which people will be able to obtain guidance from it. A. Those people who wish to reach the intended destination by remaining secure from the perilous pitfalls on the path. By employing their intellect and reasoning, these people reach this reality that whatever has been stated in this guidebook, it is based on truth. After this iman, they set out on the journey of life under the guidance of this book. They are the people who are following the guidance from their Rabb, and they are the ones who will prosper. 2. 5. B. But those people who decide right from the start that we are only going to tread on our own path. Regardless of whatever someone says even 1,000 times, we are not going to listen to him or accept it. This book cannot provide any benefit to them. For the individual who walks with his eyes shut, it is the same to him whether the street lights are illuminated or it is pitch black. They are those people who, by selling the book informing about the right path, purchase books informing about the wrong paths. 2. 16. And after this it is stated that by becoming deaf, dumb, and blind, they keep on treading on the wrong paths. 2. 18. And no matter if some compassionate guide calls out to them 1,000 times that you are treading on the wrong path, they do not even turn around to glance at him. 2. 18. The example of such people is like that of sheep. In whatever direction the first sheep is going, the remainder of the sheep follow behind it with eyes shut, without asking or understanding in which direction it is going, and why are we continuing to follow behind it? When they are told to read this book of guidance, understand it, think, reflect, and then select the path, they reply that we have absolutely no need to think and understand. We will continue to tread on that same path on which our forefathers, fathers and grandfathers have been treading. Because this is the real path of security. The Quran states that they will keep treading on this path, even if their forefathers were devoid of intellect and reason and had continued on this wrong path. 2. 170. Their simile is like that of a herd of sheep who will keep on following with bowed heads whatever calls the shepherd makes to them. Blind, deaf, and dumb, those who do not make use of intellect and reasoning. 2. 171. They are those people on whose heart seals have become placed, and for whom it is equal whether or not they are warned about the dangers of the path. Their state is such that you can call out to them 1,000 times, they will not listen even once. And if you happen to meet them face to face, their condition will be such that though they will be looking at you, their attention will be elsewhere. And just reflect, can people with this kind of mentality obtain any benefit whatsoever from invitation and preaching? 7. 193. C. Their condition is such that once they have uttered the word no from their lips, then even if you bang your head 1,000 times, they will never say yes, they will remain entrenched in their stance. 10. 74. And after that it is stated that we impose seals in this way on the hearts of these kinds of people who transgress limits. 10. 74. It is with great pride that they declare that our hearts are wrapped in covers, your words can have no effect on them. 4. 155. It is not their hearts that are wrapped in covers, rather it is due to this mentality of theirs that Allah has placed seals on their hearts. Therefore until such a time that they abandon this path, there is no possibility of their coming to the right path. D. The state of some people is that if you say anything to them, they do not counter it on the basis of any reason and fact, they just keep opposing it devoid of any logic and evidence and do not listen to anything the other says. 40. 35. After this it is stated that these are those effigies of arrogance and pride on whose heart seals become imposed. 40. 35. The state of their arrogance is such that they are assembled in a gathering, he, the one inviting them to the right path, is explaining the matter, but they are sitting. They're thinking of something completely different. When the meeting is concluded and people are dispersing, they ask others that what was this individual saying. It is stated about them that these are the people on whose hearts Allah puts seals. 47. 16. Because they move around with eyes closed, inebriated with the intoxication of their emotions. And the level of their arrogance is such that whichever individual states that the outcome of this path of theirs will be ruin. They mock him, and say that these are those same ancient fables and tales which he sits and keeps repeating. Where is that ruin, and what kind of destruction? They are the ones about whom it is stated that covers become placed on their hearts so that they simply cannot think and understand. And their ears become plugged, due to which the correct message simply cannot enter their ears. 6. 25. Their condition is such that if you talk to them about their own good, they turn their faces away and walk off, and assert with great conceit that there is no point in talking to us about these matters. There are veils covering our hearts. There are plugs in our ears. There is such a thick curtain between you and us that no conversation can pass through it. 41. 5. You keep on doing your work, leave us alone to do our work. Why are you distressing yourself for no reason due to compassion for us? When destruction comes, we will deal with it ourselves. 41. 5. It is stated that the individual who turns away from good counsel, adopts rejection, and takes no heed whatsoever of how destructive the outcome of his wrong deeds will be, how can he come to the right path? Veils become placed on his heart, his ears become plugged. 18. 57. Not only do these people turn away from the invitation to act, they also even assert that these people are fraudsters. Do not go anywhere near them. 30. 59. In this way Allah puts seals on the hearts of these people who do not use their intellect and reasoning. In this way, an invisible, imperceptible veil becomes imposed between these people and the Quran. 17. 45 to 46. 1.8.2 Seals on the hearts of munafiqeen. At any rate, this was the condition of those people who do not accept the truth right from the start. Other than them, there are also those people who acknowledge it from their lips, but when the time comes to work in accordance with it, then they seek routes of escape. They are called munafiqeen in Quranic terminology. It is stated in Surah At-Tawbah that when these people are told to participate in the battlefield, Qital fi sabilillah, they begin to seek permission to stay back with strange excuses. It is stated about them that Allah puts a seal on their hearts, but they do not have knowledge of it. 9. 86 to 87. See also 9. 93, 47. 20 to 23. Remember that this is not only a story about the earlier Islamic era, that at that time there was some specific group of munafiqeen about whom these verses were sent down. This is the portrayal of an eternal reality, and that is that the proclamation whose evidence of being true is not depicted in the conduct and character of a human being, that proclamation cannot be declared as being iman. Those who acknowledge it from their lips, but falsify it through their deeds, are munafiq, no matter to which era they may belong. They are those who follow their own desires instead of obeying divine guidance. Only the benefits of this worldly life are in front of their eyes, they have no iman whatsoever in the hereafter. They are the very people about whom it is stated that have you even pondered on the condition of those people who have themselves made their own emotions, base desires, as their God. They are those people who, despite possessing knowledge and intellect, become destroyed. The consequence of being inebriated due to intoxication by emotions is that seals become imposed on their hearts and ears. Veils are drawn over their eyes. Say. The individual who, by turning away from the guidance of Allah in this way, steps onto wrong paths, who can bring him onto the right path? 45. 23. These people declare the benefits of worldly life as being their sole objective and ultimate aim, and shut their eyes completely to the life of the future. The glittering polish of the artificial gemstones of worldly life creates such an allurement in their eyes that they then become simply incapable of seeing anything. In this way seals become imposed on their hearts, ears, and eyes. 16. 106 to 108. In Surah Yasin, the following verses are translated as: Allah's verdict became fulfilled on most of them, that they will never accept Iman. We have put yokes around their necks and these are right up to their chins, because of which their heads remain pointing upwards. And we have created an obstruction in front of them and also one at their rear. And a cover has been drawn over them, hence, they see nothing. Therefore it is equal to them whether you admonish them or do not admonish them, they will never accept Iman. 36. 7 to 10. 1.8.3 Allah's verdict is fulfilled. An explanation of the remaining part of these verses has been given previously, therefore there will be no difficulty in understanding their correct meanings. But a huge doubt is produced by saying this about the first verse. 36. 7. That see, it is declared here that the verdict of Allah became fulfilled about them that they will not accept Iman, which means that Allah had already made this decision about them before they were even born. That they will not accept Iman, therefore that verdict came to pass, they did not accept Iman, nor will they accept Iman. Accepting Iman is simply not in their muqaddar destiny. This concept is a product of that same doctrine of Jabr due to which these kinds of doubts emerge, otherwise the matter is crystal clear. The meaning of Laqad Haqt al-Qalu. 36. 7. Is that the law of Allah is that for those people who do not employ their intellect and reasoning, reality will remain clouded, and as a consequence they will not accept Iman. At another place it is stated: those people who do not use their intellect and reasoning, they remain in confusion. 10. 100. These people are not employing their intellect and reasoning, hence they cannot benefit from the guidance of Allah. Their condition is living evidence of the truth of this law of Allah. In this way, by proving to be true, the verdict, His law of Allah appears before us. Thus what benefit can admonishment and warning provide to such people? Admonishment and warning can only benefit the one who follows the advice, guidance of Allah, and is fearful of those unseen consequences of human deeds which are established according to the law of requital of Allah. 36. 11. 1.8.4 Created for hell. This same style of expression has been adopted in verse 7. 179. Of Surah Al-Araf. The literal translation of the first part of this verse will be that, surely we have created many jinn and ins for hell. 7. 179. From this translation the thought arises that when Allah has created them for hell, then how can they change their muqaddar and become righteous? But when we look at the remainder of this part of the verse, then the matter becomes clear. It is stated in this: these are those people who, though they have a heart, do not employ it for thinking and reasoning. They have eyes, but do not use them to see. They have ears, but do not use them to hear. They are not human beings but animals, rather even lowlier than them. They remain ignorant of their status and the purpose of life. 7. 179. The meaning is clear that those people who remain blind, deaf, and dumb despite possessing the potentials of sight, hearing, thinking, and reasoning, and continue to mindlessly tread wrong paths, this conduct of theirs continuously cries out that these people will go straight into hell. As the saying goes, they are simply meant for hell. The Quran has clarified this same interpretation at another place in this way: that when these kinds of people will enter hell, the custodian there will ask them, "What did you do because of which you are being made to enter hell? What was your crime?" They will reply, "What need is there to go into any great detail? if we had listened to those people who used to warn us about the consequences of treading on the evil path, or made use of intellect and reasoning, then we would never have been among the denizens of hell. 67. 10. Therefore, those people who do not use their intellect and reasoning are firewood for hell, they are the ones on whose heart seals become imposed. 1.8.5 Their hearts place locks on themselves. It is stated in Surah Muhammad. Do they not reflect and reason in the Quran? Do they have locks imposed on their hearts? Akfaluha. 47. 24. In addition, the term akfaluha in this verse contains profound meanings and cannot be translated. Its meaning is that locks have not been applied on their hearts from somewhere outside, their hearts have applied the locks on their own selves. The heart imposes locks on its own self by itself. When this is the situation, then how can any external power open these locks? They will have to unlock these themselves. You can understand this from the following example, that an individual is sitting in his room and he has bolted the door from the inside. He has bolted it himself, and then he himself wails that how can I get out? He will be told that, sir, you yourself have bolted the door from the inside, only you can open it, no one can help you from the outside, unbolt the door and come out. This has been illustrated in alternative words as follows. When they adopted a twisted path, then Allah, the law of requital, made their hearts twisted. 61. 5. See also. 51. 9. When they shut the door, the path for their exit became blocked. 1.8.6 deeds themselves become rust. And the final word in this regard is that illustrious verse of Surah Al-Mutaffifin, in which the point regarding the sealing of their hearts by Allah is perspicuously explained. It is stated in this that, nay, the matter is not the way in which these people understand it. The fact is this, that it is their own deeds, which by becoming rust, cover their hearts. 83. 14. The seals which become imposed on hearts are the evil deeds of man himself. 11.9 Faman sha'ifal yuman wa man sha'ifal yakfur. With regard to human choice and intent, this has already been discussed in detail in a separate chapter. But we think that it is essential that whatever the Quran has specified with regard to guidance and misguidance, that it should be specifically outlined so that no misconception remains. The fundamental teaching of the Quran is that in the matter of deen there is no kind of compulsion. This is because the right and wrong paths have emerged clearly in front, distinct from each other. Now whichever individual, turning away from non-divine paths, adopts the guidance of Allah, he will grasp the hand of such a trustworthy support which will never let him down. This connection will never break. 2. 256. Now it is obvious that when there is no internal or external duress and no coercion in the matter of deen, it is left to the choice and volition of man, then it is firstly essential that there is no compulsion in this regard even from the direction of Allah himself. Therefore he has also clarified this matter. Like a compassionate physician, Rasool desired from the depths of his heart that people should become saved from destruction and somehow or other accept Iman. Addressing Rasool, Allah informed him that if it had been our mashiat that people should tread on a single path only, whether willing or unwilling, and that no one could reject haqq and truth, then this was not at all difficult for us to do. We would have created them constrained, like other things of the universe. But we did not do this. When we have not done it like this, then O Rasool, do you wish that you can somehow compel them to accept Iman? There is no allowance for ikra, compulsion. In deen, that Iman which is accepted under duress is not Iman at all. 10. 99. Say to them that haqq has arrived to you from the direction of your Rabb. Now whoever among you adopts the right path, its benefit will reach him alone. Whoever treads on the wrong path, its loss will also be his alone. You are not appointed as a guardian over them that you can force them to accept reality. 10. 108. This is that reality which every mu'min should know. That is, if this had been in the mashi'at of Allah that the whole of humanity should be compelled to tread on one single path, then He would simply have created them like this. 11. 118. So much so, that Rasulullah was also informed that it is also not essential that the one whom you hold very dear and desire from your heart that he accepts Iman, that he will accept Iman. 28. 56. We have given man freedom in this matter, therefore you too should pass the message of Haqq onto them, and then say that whoever wishes can accept Iman, and whoever wishes can reject it. 18. 29. It is stated in Surah Al-Dar that we created man and then endowed him with hearing and sight, then showed him the path. Now whoever among them wishes, he can accept it. Whoever wishes, he can reject it. 76. 3. It is stated in Surah Al-Abasa that the Quran is a warning that is a reminder of that truth and reality which man keeps forgetting repeatedly. So whoever wishes, he can bring to mind those forgotten truths again through this. 80. 12. It is stated in Surah Al-Balad that we have shown him both paths clearly. 90. 10. So whoever wishes can adopt the path taking him towards his Rabb. 73. 19. See also. 28. 57. Allah bestowed man with eyes, and made arrangements for an external light, placed both the right and wrong paths distinctly before him, and after that told him that whoever walks with eyes open, the benefit will be to him. The one who walks blindly will bear the loss himself. 6. 104. Here no bearer of burden will carry the burden of another. 17. 15. Whoever among you treads on the right path, he will remain secure from fear and grief. 2. 38, 20. 123. And also understand this, that if you tread on the right path, then those treading on the wrong path will not be able to cause any harm to reach you. They will only do harm to themselves. 5. 105. The mushrikeen used to say that we cannot be indicted for our shirk. It was the will of Allah Himself that we should have resorted to shirk. If He had not wished this, then how could we have committed shirk? In reply to this, it is stated that they are uttering a falsehood. Allah does not misguide anyone. 6. 148, 16. 35. 43. 20. They misguide themselves, do not adopt the right path, and level an accusation against Allah. 6. 140. Although it is correct that in the same way that Allah does not forcibly put anyone on the path of misguidance, man adopts that path himself, similarly, Allah does not forcibly put the individual who adopts the wrong path onto the right path. The one who wishes to remain misguided, Allah does not give him guidance. 16. 37. 1.9.1 The religious clergy. Allah does not misguide anyone, whereas religious clerics are misguided themselves and also misguide others. These people are misguided themselves and also misguide others. 5. 77. See also. 6. 145. In this way, those treading on the wrong path become a large faction, or caravan, and they keep on reinforcing and strengthening each other's false beliefs. 7. 202. And in this way, the leader of this caravan which is heading in the wrong direction deposits them in that marketplace where there is no buyer for this worthless produce that is into hell. 14. 28-29. In any event, all this is done by human beings. Allah neither forcibly misguides anyone, nor forcibly brings anyone to the right path. His law is that Al-Haqq has arrived from the direction of your Rabb, now whoever wishes should accept it, and whoever wishes should reject it. 18. 29. We now take a step forward from haqq, and this is man sha'a. 11.10 Man yasha'u. A discussion in principle about wherever the word man yasha has generally appeared in the Quran has already been done. Now we will examine that wherever man yasha has appeared in connection with guidance and misguidance, what this means. It is clear from whatever has been noted in the previous pages that guidance and misguidance is within the control of man himself, that is, whoever wishes can take the straight path, and whoever wishes can keep treading on the wrong path. The straight path can be adopted according to the law of Mashi'at of Allah, that is in this way that man should live life with his eyes open, make use of his intellect and reasoning, and only take a step after careful consideration. At every crossroad of life, carefully analyze which is the straight path and which is a crooked one. He should not keep walking behind someone with his eyes closed. This is that law of Mashi'at according to which man can adopt the right path. Following these explanations, let us look at the corresponding verses of the Quran. It is stated in Surah Al-Baqarah that initially man used to live as one brotherhood, one ummah. Then differences arose between them, for the elimination of which Allah initiated the process of righteous guidance. Anbiya were sent, and books were sent down with them. Those people who accepted Iman in their truth, Allah gave them guidance. After this it is stated that whichever individual wishes to acquire guidance, he receives it through Allah's process of guidance. 2. 213. The responsibility of these messengers was to pass on the messages of Allah. 5. 99, 3. 19. Not to make them tread on the straight path. Hence, Rasulullah was informed that this is not your responsibility, that you make them tread on the right path. Allah will only cause him to tread on the right path who himself wishes to tread on this path. 2. 272. See also 28. 56. In another verse, Allah extends an invitation to come towards the path of peace and security. After that, whichever individual wishes to adopt the right path willingly, he obtains guidance towards this. 10. 25. This invitation from the direction of Allah used to be received through the messengers. Whichever individual used to say yes to their invitation, he used to obtain guidance towards the right path. 14. 4. The messengers used to give this message on the basis of the wahi verses sent down from the direction of Allah. Clear laws from Allah used to be sent down for this purpose. By this means Allah provides guidance to every one of those individuals who forms the intention to acquire guidance. 22. 16. This is also called nur, light. At another place. 24. 35, 24. 40. In Surah Al-Zumar this is called the Kitab sent down from the direction of Allah. 39. 23. In Surah Fatir it is stated that the one who is blind and the one who can see cannot be equal. Neither can darkness and light, nor sunshine and shadow be the same. Nor can the dead and the living be equivalent. After this it is stated that, O Rasool, you cannot make the dead to hear. Allah also only causes those to hear who wish to listen. 35. 22. Those who wish to hear means those who turn towards Allah for this purpose. 13. 27. Contrary to this, the one who does not even pay any attention to this, how can he be a beneficiary of the guidance of Allah? This is the law of Mashi'at of Allah, according to which whoever wishes can obtain guidance, whoever contravenes this law will not be able to obtain guidance. It is stated in Surah Al-An'am. Those people who falsify the divine law, becoming deaf and dumb, they stumble around in the darknesses. They cannot obtain guidance towards the right path. Only he obtains guidance who wishes to obtain it according to the law of Mashi'at, Man yasha, of Allah. 6. 39. In Surah Ibrahim, the right and wrong ideology of life is illustrated through the metaphor of a tree of virtue and an evil tree. And it is stated that those people who accept Iman in the correct ideology of life achieve steadfastness and resoluteness in the world and in the hereafter. And the Zalimin do not receive the guidance of Allah. Why does it happen like this? Why do the avenues of success and prosperity not become opened up for those people who do not wish to abandon the path of exploitation and tyranny? It is stated that this is the law of Mashi'at, Mayasha, of Allah, which He has devised using His omnipotence. 14. 27. You cannot ask this question, that why is this law like this? This law is such that if you live according to it, then the avenues of freedom and prosperity will keep becoming ever more expansive for you. If you contravene it, then these avenues will become closed. It is stated in Surah Fatir that the individual who commits wrong deeds and these appear to be good in his eyes, remains trapped in this deception that I am doing very good deeds, therefore he does not wish to abandon this path, so then the avenues of prosperity cannot become expanded for him either. This is also the law of Mashi'at of Allah. It was stated to Rasool that do not waste your energies in anguish at the condition of those people who wish to be ruined by being trapped in self-deception in this way. Allah is well aware of the reality of their hollow business. 35. 8. As has been noted previously at another place, at the time of the advent of Islam, this thought used to arise in some hearts that if these opponents were shown miracles then they may accept Iman. In response to this, it was stated that this is not the law of Mashi'at of Allah. His law of Mashi'at is this, that people should accept the truth with the full acquiescence of their hearts and minds using intellect and reasoning, knowledge and insight. Whoever is going to accept Iman will accept it according to this law. Iman cannot be acquired through ignorance. 6. 111. Similarly, it is stated in Surah Al-Mudaththir that according to the law of Mashi'at of Allah, the avenues of success and prosperity can be expanded for the one who has full conviction in the truth of his law. The one who lives a life of hypocrisy with doubts and suspicions cannot obtain guidance towards the correct destination. In this way, according to the law of Mashi'at, Man Yasha, of Allah, whoever wishes can adopt the right path, whoever wishes can continue to tread on the wrong paths. 74. 31. This is the very meaning of these verses in which is stated that, O Allah, guidance and misguidance is conditional on your law of Mashi'at. 7. 155. In Surah Al-Shura, Rasulullah is informed that we have appointed you to the status of Nabuwwat, which is bestowed absolutely externally. And you assuredly guide people towards Sirati Mustaqim in accordance with it, but your task is only to inform people about the path, not to make them tread on it. With this Quran, we provide guidance to our servants towards the right path according to our law of Mashi'at, and that law of Mashi'at is that guidance is acquired by the one who is desirous of receiving guidance. 42. 52. And lastly, we note that verse of Surah An-Nahl which is the decisive verdict in this regard. It is stated that if this had been in the Mashi'at of Allah, then He would have created all human beings constrained to tread on one single path, but He did not do this. 16. 93. If the first part of the verse is translated as Allah misguides whoever He wishes, He gives guidance to whoever He wishes, then what is declared after this? That you will surely be questioned as to what kinds of deeds you did, will not only become meaningless but will also be mutually contradictory. If the reality is that Allah gives guidance to whoever He wishes and misguides whoever He wishes, then how can people be questioned and held accountable? Only the one who does something using his choice and intent can be questioned and held accountable. Hence, the meaning of the verse is clear, that is, if it had been in the Mashi'at of Allah that all human beings tread on only one path, then He would have created them constrained, like other created things. But He did not do this. He created man as possessor of choice, so that whoever wishes can adopt the right path, and Whoever wishes can keep treading on the wrong path. It is this choice and intent of man due to which he is declared to be responsible for his deeds. This is why he will be questioned that why did you do such and such a deed? This was that responsibility for deeds, to escape which Iblis said to Allah that I did not commit an error, you misguided me. 7. 16, 15. 39. It is this evasion and fleeing from responsibility as a result of which Iblis became condemned. The one who views himself as being constrained and makes Allah responsible for his own actions adopts an Iblisi persona according to the Quran. 11.11 Recap. Bring those words to mind once again with which we started this chapter, that is that the individual to whom Allah gives guidance, no one can misguide him. The one whom Allah misguides, no one can give him guidance. It is clear from what has been said in the previous pages that whatever becomes apparent from this translation is not only contrary to the teaching of the Quran, but this kind of impression or concept about Allah himself is also incorrect. Allah does not misguide anyone. From this you will have observed that by separating any single verse of the Quran from other related verses, not only does the matter not become clarified from its literal translation, this leads, in fact, to the creation of misconceptions. 11.12 Correct method to understand the Quran. The correct method to understand Quranic teaching is that you should place in front of you whatever has been noted in all the places in the Quran regarding the topic being analyzed. And then it should be understood what the Quran says about it. And then according to its fundamental teaching, the meaning, not the translation, of the related verses should be established. By doing this, you will find that the correct meaning of the Quranic verses becomes clarified and no kind of misconception arises either. Let us remind ourselves once again that in connection with human life, wherever Allah has declared himself to be the originator of action, that is, it is stated that Allah does it like this. This means that this takes place according to the law of Mashi'at of Allah. And when it has also been ascertained from the Quran what the law of Mashi'at of Allah is in this regard, then the matter becomes crystal clear. In relation to this, reflect on a few verses once again. It is stated in Surah Bani Israel. Its common translation is this: that whoever Allah gives guidance to, only he will be the guided one. And whoever he misguides, then other than Allah no one can be his protector. On the day of judgment we will raise him up having made him blind, deaf, and dumb. The abode of these people will be hell. 17. 97. You will see what a great misconception becomes created by looking at this verse after dissociating it from other related places. But in the very next verse it is stated that this is due to this reason, because they rejected our laws and rebelled against them. 17. 98. From this the matter becomes clear, that whichever individual rejects the laws of Allah, he goes astray. This is the law of Mashi'at of Allah. Hence, the meaning of the verse quoted above will be that the individual who accepts Iman in the truth of the laws of Allah, he acquires the guidance of Allah. Whoever rejects it, the right path cannot appear before him. In connection with this, see also verses 18, 17, 39, 37, 7, 178. 11.13 Al-Mudayu, a divine attribute. Al-Asma'ul Husna are specified in the Quran for Allah, that is the most beautiful and best names of Allah. From this are meant those divine attributes which are noted in the Quran. In this regard you may have seen 99 names of Allah written in many places. In some places Al-Mudayu, that is, the one who misguides, is also written. This name of Allah is not to be found in the Quran, but it seems as if it has been deduced from those verses in which words such as Maynadil have appeared. The correct meaning of these words, or those verses in which these kinds of words appear, has been viewed by us. In light of this meaning, we consider that Allah should never be called Al-Mudayu, the one who misguides. He is, in fact, Al-Hadi, the giver of guidance. And the one who is Al-Hadi, How can he be al-Mudayu? In the Quran, shaitan is called Mudayun, the ones who misguide. 1.13.1 This should not be uttered. It is stated in Surah Al-Qasas that when Moses punched one of the Qubti, and he fell down dead, he commented after this that this is indeed an act of shaitan, undoubtedly, he is an enemy of man, and one who is known to misguide. Mudayun. 28. 15. At another place it is stated that shaitan wishes to plunge people deep into misguidance. 4. 60. It is obvious that the act of misguiding someone, which the Quran declares to be an act of shaitan, how can that be attributed? Allah forbid. Towards Allah? Hence, this kind of translation as a result of which Allah is declared to be one who misguides should also not be done of such verses. Similarly, in these 90 names, al-Muzilu, the one who humiliates, is included together with al-Muiju, the one who gives izzat, or al-Daru, one who gives loss, is included together with al-Nafiu, the one who gives benefit. From the correct meanings appearing before us of those verses from which these kinds of names are drawn, this reality becomes evident that Allah neither humiliates anyone without reason, nor causes harm. Zillat, humiliation, and zarar, harm, are the outcomes of man's own deeds, hence it is more appropriate not to include these kinds of names in the list of al-Asma'ul Husna. That which is translated in Surah Al-An'am as Allah misguides whoever he wishes and puts on the straight path whoever he wishes. 6. 39. This interpretation gives rise to an enormous misconception. The meaning of the verse is that guidance and misguidance are acquired according to the law of Mashi'at of Allah. According to this, whichever individual wishes to, he can adopt the right path, and whoever wishes to, he should remain on the wrong path. What is that law of Mashi'at? This is clarified in the opening words of this verse as follows. Those people who falsify the laws of Allah, by becoming deaf and dumb, they keep stumbling around in darknesses. 6. 39. It is stated in Surah Al-Rum, which is commonly translated as whoever Allah misguides, who can give him guidance. 30. 29. However, this is not its meaning becomes clear from the initial words of the verse in which it is stated. These unjust people, without knowledge and insight, keep on blindly following their animalistic passions. Now just think that the individual who, according to the law of Allah, continues to tread on wrong paths in this way, who can bring him onto the straight path. 30. 29. In Surah At-Tawbah it is stated that this does not suit Allah at all that he should send his guidance, the book, to people, and in this way make it clear what matters they need to eschew, and after that misguide them for no reason. If he had intended to misguide people, then why would he send codes of guidance to them? 9. 115. It is stated in Surah Al-An'am, the literal translation of which is as follows, the individual whom Allah intends to provide guidance to, he expands his heart for Islam, and the one whom he intends to misguide, he constricts his chest as if he is climbing up towards the heights of the sky. 6. 125. In the verse prior to this. 6. 124. Those people are mentioned who, when the divine laws are presented to them, keep objecting and making excuses. They are those criminals who reap a humiliating punishment. After this it is stated, to those people who do not accept Iman in the truth of the divine laws, reality remains veiled. 6. 25. From this it is clear that the human heart becoming expanded for divine guidance is the delightful fruit of Iman. And it becoming constricted is the essential outcome of the rejection and falsification of this. Since all this takes place according to the law of requital of Allah, therefore Allah has related it towards Himself. The constriction and expansion of the heart takes place according to the outlook of man himself. Hence it is stated in Surah An-Nahl that a severe chastisement is imposed on the individual who reverts to kufr after accepting Iman. Bear in mind that this is not announced about that individual whose heart is content on Iman but who is coerced into performing some deed of kufr. This is announced about that individual who opens up his own heart for kufr. 16. 106. Note that it is clearly stated here that man himself opens and shuts his heart to kufr and Iman. Allah makes the path to guidance clearly evident through his book. Whoever accommodates it in his heart by expanding his breast, the paths to successes open up before him. Whoever closes the doors of his heart, he becomes deprived of these blessings. In this way Allah broadens the paths of successes in front of each one of those individuals who wishes to achieve successes. The one who does not wish this, these doors remain closed to him. And the one to whom these doors remain closed according to the law of Mashi'at of Allah, no one can show him the right path. 39. 23. The individual who shuts his eyes himself, who can provide him with sight? The one who himself wishes to remain misguided, Allah does not give him guidance forcibly. 1637. On the other hand, those people who make efforts and strive and endeavor for us, we keep guiding them towards our paths. 29:69. This is indeed the established deen. 1240.